Hey folks, this is Chris, and today I'm going to show you some essential chords in the key of G, and I've also used these chords in my song Light Years, so I'm going to send you a link below in the description to that track so you can have a listen to that track. And the goal, I think, the intention I'm trying to help you with in this lesson is so that you can play along to that track. The rhythm guitar part. So I'm just going to play a bit of it. So the first part goes like that. So I'm going to show you that that's the main section. So it's quite simple, but it's a good picking exercise as well. So that chord there is C major. So also there's a chord sheet in the description, so you can download that, and if you don't know any of these chords you can use that as a reference. So I'm using C major, and then the way I'm playing G is I'm only really needing one finger, and the reason is I'm not strumming the whole 6 strings, I'm just picking through strings 6, 4, 3 and 2. So I don't even really need this second finger, I really just need the third finger on the top string on fret 3, and I'm picking the chords actually, so I'm going to show you the picking pattern next. So I'm basically picking the following strings: 5, 4, 3, 2, and then 4, 3, 4. So like this. Now, as far as using downstrokes and upstrokes, you can either do it with all downstrokes or you can use some alternating. So for example, obviously it's self-explanatory to using all downstrokes, but if you were using some upstrokes, you could do this. So it's only that very last note where I use an upstroke, but everything else is a downstroke. So that's the picking pattern, and when you go to a G chord, you're just going to change to string 6 instead of string 5. Okay, so same picking pattern but changing to string 6. And so that's going to be 6, 4, 3, 2, 4, 3, 4. Okay? So that, if we put the two chords together, one more time. Okay, I realized something that I do. So the first time I kind of tripped up a bit because I waited and I kept this finger down so that I went. But then of course going to the next chord, that sort of slowed me down. So one thing I can do, it can be done, of course, keeping this finger down, but I think without realizing it, I'm in the habit of doing the following, where when I'm about to change to the G, the last note that I'm going to pick is this 4th string, and I just take my second finger off. And it's an interesting sound. And actually, if you ever learn that's the famous song, House of the Rising Sun, you'll notice that there's something similar going on. So I'll just play that. I haven't played it for a while, so I'm just trying to remember how it goes. So I'm not trying to sidetrack too much, but that's a famous riff, and one way they change chords is they always use this open G string. So even if the A minor chord is pushing on the G string on the 2nd fret, just before we change to the next chord, we actually release that. So we've always got this open string, and it just gives us a bit more time to get to the next chord. So it's gradually coming back to me. So I will do a lesson on that song if people are really keen. Happy to do that. But just coming back to the other progression, so we had C and G, and basically I'm playing through each chord twice. So I'm playing through C, so I'll do it again. Okay, and then I just repeat that. And the other part of the song is the following chords. We've got an E minor, and then a D / F sharp, and then a G again, but a different way of playing G, which I'll talk about in a second, and then a C, and that will repeat a few times, and then the very last time it will go to a D sus2, which is like a D major without the middle finger. So in other words, we're opening up that high E string. I just realized I may not be perfectly in tune. I kind of jumped into this video, picked up the guitar, and yeah, I didn't check the tuning, so bear with me on that. So it's actually, just to reiterate, it makes things easier and smoother and sound better if whenever there's a finger on that D string, just take it off for that very last stroke of the D string before you change chord. So it happens with E minor. It doesn't really matter on this chord because we're not pushing on that D string, so it's already open. But with the other chords, E minor and also C, yeah, just as I mentioned before, it can be smoother if you release that string on the final note of playing that chord. Okay, so as I mentioned, it's E minor. So the very last cycle, so that's how it goes, but then the last cycle goes like this. So I think what it does is it doubles that C chord and then it goes to a D sus2. And all I'm doing is taking that same picking pattern but raising it up a string. So I'm going 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 3. So it's sort of the same motion but just higher strings. So I'm hoping it's all making sense so far, and yeah, basically they're really the two sections to this song, and once you learn them, you can play along to the whole song, and I want you to give that a go. It's a good exercise. The other thing you can do, I mean, you can just use this picking exercise as a warm-up. So I mean, you could take an easy chord like E minor, now that's going to help me develop accuracy and speed with my picking and changing strings. And also, because I'm just holding one chord, I can really look at this hand and really develop that accuracy, because the best way to train this hand is to spend some time looking at how it's like if you're driving a car. I mean, you want to watch where you're going. And, you know, I mean, that might not be the best example, but like sometimes you can do things and you have to watch it, but after a while you know you can develop almost an idea of where you are without watching. But the initial process is to watch, because it will speed up that learning and it will improve the accuracy and create a strong foundation with your picking technique. And then of course, once that feels more comfortable, then you can watch this hand and find that this hand is more autonomous and more trusted in doing what you want it to do without having to watch it. But the start of it is watching it. So I recommend practicing this and then practice it on a C chord, because you've got a slightly different picking pattern. You're hitting string 5 instead of 6. And then a D sus2 chord. So start to build that technique. The other exercise to practice, of course, is for this hand. So you can even just practice going from C to G. And with that G, if I was strumming these chords, I would use my pinky on the high E string. But it's sort of not needed when I'm picking that pattern, because I don't ever hit that high E string on the G chord. So I can just use that third finger really, and I'm kind of muting that A string, or obviously I'm not picking it when I'm doing the picking pattern, but if I was strumming, I'm kind of muting it by using my third finger and letting it sort of gently touch lightly on that A string. So a good warm-up is just to go from C to G like this, you know. Now I can put my attention on this hand and develop speed and accuracy on this hand. Alright, and finally, E minor to D/F sharp. I use my thumb on D/F sharp, and I don't even need to have this high string ringing, because I'm actually playing that F sharp note. Instead of playing it on that high string, I'm playing it on the low string. So you can practice going from E minor to F sharp, sorry, D/F sharp, and then also putting the G chord in. So what we're doing is just saying, let's grab two chords that are in the series of how this progression goes, are next to each other, and just get a bit more proficient changing. And then this G, I'm using this finger and that finger, and again you'll find these on the chord chart that is in the description. And then going from that G to that C. So there's a lot you can get out of it, even though it's a couple of simple little progressions, and you may even know the chords. There's a lot to get out of practicing these chords and becoming more proficient at them, and also working on the picking and becoming more proficient at that, and see how you go. I hope it was clear playing through the progressions, but basically I'll just do it one more time. You've got, and that simply repeats quite a few times actually, and then this repeats a few times as well, and then it holds the C, and then back to the first progression. So that's about it for today. So I hope you enjoy this lesson, and yeah, I hope you get something out of it, and I hope you enjoy playing along to my track, Light Years, and you can find the link below, and I'll see you next time. Have fun.